You will sleep better than you have ever slept. You've never been this relaxed. Are you ready to change your life? I'm Rusty Diamond, certified hypnotist. You don't need to leave your house. You can stay in your bed. You can stay in your favorite chair. You just need a computer or your phone. You can get a hold of me. Stay at home. I'll make your life better.
Hypnosisisgreat.com.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
Yo, man. Boom, it's Rusty. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Public Access Podcast on the Rusty Diamond Podcast Network here on this Monday morning in Pennsylvania on the Pup Podcast because Pennsylvania, PA. Thank you, everyone, for being here. If you are watching this already and you think, hey, I don't want to watch this guy, I don't want to look at his face, but I know he has good content and great guests. You can just go and look anywhere you find podcasts, except for where you might have them hidden there, Mr. Scholarship winner, Mr. Hipster there, who has your special podcast listening place. I don't know where that is. I'm not there, but I'm on almost every other one. And if you're listening where you do listen to those podcasts and you want a video version, check it out on YouTube or Rumble. It's that easy. I can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. This internet thing. So it's time for me because it's Monday and I haven't done a solo show for probably like 7, 8 years at least. So it means I have a guest on, which is a great thing. So my special guest is right here and right now. And my special guest right here and right now is Bryan Clayton. How you doing, Bryan?
Rusty, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on your show. It's good to join you.
That's great. Yeah, likewise. Happy to have you here. Yeah, it's Monday morning, and Monday mornings are always a good time. And if they're not, that's it's on you. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. If you're listening to the show, hopefully you're a fan of Monday mornings because why not? Why, it's I always think it's talk about this. Like it's always hard when people, like to get hung up on the Monday mornings or, always waiting for that Friday or whatever it may be. It's a hard way to go through life. Like
Totally.
you're over 50% of your life is you're trying to be somewhere else.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
yeah, I mean,
I
like, yeah, go ahead.
I heard a bit by Seinfeld the other day, and he said, we're cranky. Human beings are cranky. We always want to be somewhere else. If you're traveling, I gotta get my Uber. I gotta get to the airport. When we gonna get on the plane? When we gonna get off the plane? When we gonna get to the hotel? Oh, I'm at the hotel. I'm hungry. Where's the restaurant? Well, what are we gonna? It's like everybody's trying to get somewhere else, and it's good to remind ourselves of that because I think life can feel like one big rat race if you let it be. And I think if you get the Sunday scaries and hate Monday morning, that can be a good indicator that it might be time to shake something up in life. I've definitely felt like that in my life. That's what caused me to sell my first business because I hated running it, and I thought, you know what, I hate doing this. I'm not going to do it anymore, and so I sold it, and I started my second business, which is the business I'm running now. And thank God I did that. So those Sunday scaries and the Monday morning kind of not in your stomach can be a good thing. It can be the thing that causes you to take action in life.
Right. And I don't think that people understand that part either, too. The part about the bad feeling in your gut doesn't have to be a bad feeling. It can be a bad feeling, but it's telling you something.
Right.
it's the same thing with for some reason we've had this thing about the butterflies in your stomach when you meet somebody is a good thing, but it's not. There's that part of it because it means that your your response systems are alerting you that this is something that is dangerous. This is something that's trouble. You need to kind of watch out. And again, something that I wish I would have learned earlier in life. But um,
Yeah, it's not happening to you; it's happening for you.
yeah,
And
right.
and pretty much every negative thing you're going through 5 years later, or maybe sooner, you'll be glad it happened. My business now, we're going through some challenges, like every business, through these economic times, and I've been through these ups and downs, and I was always glad they happened because it was the thing that caused me to take action and do things differently. Because success is a lousy teacher. When things are going good, you get comfortable and you don't want to change anything. It's when you wake up on Monday morning and you're driving to your office and you have that knot in your stomach, like you don't want to go there. That's a good thing. That's happening for you. It's not happening to you.
Yeah. How long was it once you started feeling that, then you decided that maybe it's my business and I need to get rid of this. I'm done with this. Was it soon after, or was it a little while, or what?
It was my first business I started mowing yards in high school as a way to make extra money. And um, I didn't really want to make that a big business, but when I graduated college, I had to make a decision. Was I going to stick with this little lawn mowing business I had, or was I going to go into the job market? And I did some back of the envelope math, and I was able to make more money running my landscaping company than I would if I had just gotten a job. So I made a little business plan and built that up into a real company of around 150 employees. And I think it was year 12. I started feeling like that. I started feeling like, man, I hate the environment. I dislike most of the people that work for me. I dislike most of our customers. And I felt like a victim. And then I thought, you idiot, you built this. This is a reflection of you. Like the reason why everybody that you perceive that works for you as a jerk is because you're a jerk. And that's the reason why your customers are insatiable and ridiculous. Is because they're reflecting you. You're attracting them into the business, and so I had to like go through that learning process, that self growth period, and I had to kind of reinvent myself, and then realize that okay, maybe it's time for me to create the space to do something else with my life, and so I decided to explore the opportunity to sell the business, and that took like 2 years. It took me 2 years to get that business sold, and then when I sold it, I took some time off, and then I thought, well, what do I want to do with my life now? And I saw the movie The Social Network, and I thought it looked really cool how they built the tech company, how Zuckerberg and his team built a world changing technology business, and what seemed like a weekend. Um, as it turns out, it took many years to build that company. It took many years to build mine, and but that idea was sexy to me, and so I thought, well, I want to start a tech company, and I didn't realize how hard it was. I didn't realize how challenging it was going to be, but it was kind of naivete as an asset. And I recruited a team, and we started working on the company I'm building now called Green Pal, which is the Uber for lawn mowing. And I guess driving to the office in my first company, having that knot in my stomach, being discontent with that was the catalyst to sell that company and start my second one. And now I'm in a much better place than I've ever been in. So that negativity, that 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 discontentment is what caused me to take action to improve my station in life.
Yeah. And was it hard for you to realize that like the people, like these people you don't like, is a like, direct response to yourself?
Yeah.
And yeah, I felt that hard one is a like when I had my one of my businesses, and yeah, it was just I didn't like the people coming into my shop. Uh, I didn't like going out and finding the stuff I needed for my shop. And then I was like, oh yeah, this is me. This is like what I'm attracting here.
Yep. Yeah,
And
and it's not like you can sit there and manifest better customers or manifest better
right.
employees or to sit there and like just wish it would be better. Um, but you kind of can. It kind of starts with your attitude, your enthusiasm, your commitment, your dedication, your level of just overall excitement for the business. And if you don't have those things, then genuinely, then how can you expect anybody that works for you to have enthusiasm, excitement, passion? Um, and so it's really hard to like build anything on a foundation where you don't have that genuine enthusiasm and excitement for the mission of the business, whatever it is. Doesn't matter what business you're running. If you're running a hot dog stand, you can sit here and say, I know I'm running a hot dog stand, but God damn it, it's going to be the best hot dog stand on the block. Nobody's going to have fresher buns. Nobody's going to have the highest quality of I guess if you can of hot dog meat. I've got condiments that nobody else has got. I've got I'm a little more expensive, but it's a premium product. Like you can get passionate. My sales are bigger than anybody else's. My customers keep coming back to me. Like there's all sorts of ways to get excited about running a hot dog stand. And if you're not, then how are you going to expect the person that you put in charge of that stand while you go off and start the second one to be excited about it? So you kind of can, manifest this stuff. It starts with you. It starts with what's inside you. And if you don't have that authentically, then there's just no way to have that vibe in the business. And I had to learn that the hard way. And I thought it was everybody else's fault but me. But no, the people that worked for me were reflecting my level of enthusiasm. When I came into the office, I didn't say, "Hey, how was your weekend?" And I didn't really give a shit. Like I
Right.
needed to give a shit. Your son is how's he doing in baseball? Did they win the tournament this weekend? Oh, you go okay. Where are you going next weekend for the next tournament? Oh, that's awesome. What can we do to? Do you need off? What can we do to help you? Where you're with what you're trying to do in life. It's like you have to really give a shit about your people, and you have to give a shit about whatever the purpose of the business is, genuinely. And if you
Yeah.
don't, then don't expect it to be fun or easy or successful. I learned that the hard way.
So, I mean, what was it? Was it after you stopped working there that you kind of realized that, or was it like towards that end of like I'm winding down, owning this business to like I need to, yeah, change kind of myself from within.
Yeah, it was like a uh total state of misery running the company. The company was successful, profitable, made money. Eventually grew it to around $10 million a year in sales. So it was a big company, but it was just such a miserable business to run. I mean, customers were always upset, employees were always quitting, equipment was always breaking down. And like I was just at a point where I just hated running it, but I was stuck in it because there was a lot of commitments in running a business that big. You can't just turn it off. And so when I decided I wanted to sell it, I thought, well, okay, what do I need to do to get this sold? And I started working with a broker and started realizing that, damn, there's a lot of things I got to fix about this business. Nobody's going to buy my set of problems. And I thought this thing has to run like a well-oiled machine, cheerfully, for me to be able to get it sold. And so then I started trying to fix it. Nothing worked. And then that's when I came to the epiphany that it was me at the center of all these problems. I need to first fix myself. And I needed to become a better leader. I needed to become a better manager. I needed to establish the roles and goals of the team. And I needed to establish the level of quality and commitment, enthusiasm, for what it was we were trying to do. It started with me, and I needed to
Yeah.
believe in the mission of the business. So I had to fix that about myself first. That took like a year. And then I started slowly taking the business down to the studs and rebuilding it from the inside out. And a weird thing happened after I got it. Like took over 2 years to get it to a point to where a big business would acquire it. I fell back in love with the business all over again. I actually loved running it. But at that point, my bets were made, and I'd already kind of signed a deal, and it was time to move on. But in a weird way, going through that allowed me to fall in love with running the business all over again.
That's what I was just going to ask you. Is there a part where at the towards the last minute you're like, oh, okay, well maybe I should take this and run with it again. I now that I got it working, and um, I've seen that too with getting ready to sell a house or something, or getting
Yeah.
ready to move out of a place, get everything all
Great,
fixed up. Well,
great
it's like,
point.
well, now
Great
it's not
parallel.
that bad. Like
Yeah.
I can do this. And okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I was leaving for a reason, and it's not just this. It's
Such a
not
good
just
it's such a good parallel, and I like that analogy because you can apply that to pretty much a lot of different things in life. So let's say you hate your house, it's ugly, and you don't like the neighborhood or whatever, and you want to sell it. If that's the reason you're selling the house, and then let's say, okay, well, you clean the landscaping up, you hire a carpet cleaner to clean the carpet, you paint that fence, you fix the squeaky door, you fix the creaking floorboard, in the bathroom, you fix all these things, and then it's like, this is nice, you can
yeah. What?
apply that metaphor to a lot of different things in life, relationships, businesses. I'm sure a lot of things. That's cool. I'm glad you mentioned that. It's a great way of looking at it.
Thank you. So then when you were like, I don't know. So when you got to the point where you're ready to sell it, then are you? So you said you had 150 employees at the time.
That's right.
What what was that like? Uh, did you have to, do a big meeting or something in the middle, and or just sort of, send out an email or tell people like, hey, it's everything's going to be the same, but I'm not going to be here, or
It was really tough, a lot harder enough than I anticipated it being. So, I mean, I had 150 plus people working for working for the company, and by the end of it, I mean, I loved every one of them. They were my family. They really were a lot of the reason why we did what we did. Get watching people that worked for me and worked for the company improve their station in life because the business was thriving was a lot of fun. So, it could be, a person puts a down payment on a house, or they come to work, you show up, you notice they got a new car, or their kids are going to college, the first person in their family tree to go to college, or they they put their kids through a private school, or they pay off student loan debt, whatever it is. You watch your employees, your team members achieving these things in life because they worked their butt off in the business, and the business afforded them that level of success. Is a lot of fun. And a lot of times when you go through the levels of the game of growing a business, that's kind of what it becomes all about. In the beginning, it's all about you. It's all about your success, your monetary gain. But then as time goes on and you get 10, 20, 30, 50 people, 100 people working in the company, it becomes about them. And so when I sold the company, I didn't know, like, this I guess melancholy state that I was going to, like, fall into, that these were no longer my people. And I had to, like, show up one day and say, hey, listen, it was a total surprise to everybody. We couldn't tell anybody. And I said, hey,
uh,
listen, I'm no longer your boss. I'm going to be around for the next 6 months, but there's some new ownership that has bought the business. But nothing's going to change. Everybody still has a job here. In fact, you're going to have better opportunities, and they did, because this other company had more resources than I did. So that worked out for everybody. But it was and I cried. I literally cried right in front of everybody. I didn't anticipate that happening. Very strange thing. And then for like 3 months, 4 months after that, I went through this period of, who am I? What am I all about? Why do I get out of bed in the morning? Why does it matter? What is my identity? Because I ran that company for 15 years, and it became my identity. It became my purpose. It became who I am. And so that was gone. And so you kind of go through this identity crisis thing. I didn't anticipate that either. So that's one reason why I started the second company, Green Pal, was because I wanted another mission in life. I wanted another project, another thing to throw my heart and soul into. It took me about a year to figure that out, but nobody told me to expect any of those things. It was a weird thing.
so what'd you do on that first day off? Did you have a vacation or something, or did you kind of fall right into what am I doing? Who am I? Or was that started before you had the uh before you actually sold it and gave it over?
Yeah, it so there was a period of time where I had to help with the transition. So I was busy with that. Helping the new owners, new managers understand our systems and processes and the nuances of running the business. So I was in the weeds with them for a few months after the sale. And a lot of times when you sell a business like that, you'll stay in there for a year or two or longer. So that doesn't always happen. But for me, I kind of wanted to quickly create the space for my next thing. I didn't know what it was going to be at the time, but so I was there for a few months. So I was preoccupied with that. Then when that went away, I thought, well, okay, now I'm just going to live the good life because I've hadn't had a vacation in 8 years, and I've worked my butt off for 15 years. Now I'm just going to live the good life. And I read a book by Robert Kiyosaki called the the Cash Flow Quadrant, and in that book he talks about this mysterious individual called the capitalist, and the capitalist just makes these investments and is part of these deals, and it just looked really appealing and alluring to me. And I thought, oh man, that would be cool. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to do all of this stuff dealing with employees and customers and projects and products and services and all and taxes and all this crap. I'm just going to be a capitalist. And so I pursued that, and I did that for about 6 months and got really bored really quick. And it became very existential, um, to the point of like I was more discontent in that moment of my life than I was at the lowest point of my life running the first business. It's one thing to be upset and unhappy with the state of things in your business. It's another thing to not even like have a purpose or a reason or a goal at all. Like that's a lower point. That's a lower vibration level. And so that's where I was. It was like the lowest of the low. And so that's what prompted me to start the second company. I thought, man, I got to get another project going. So I feel like somebody's going to build an app that works like Uber, but for this industry, I know why can't that be me? And so I told two friends about it. They became my co-founders, and now here we are. Green Pal is a 10-year overnight success.
So, and yeah, I mean that's something that's always a hard thing to explain, the 10-year overnight success. Yeah. I mean, you see it all the time, and it's like, yeah, they just came out of nowhere. Well, not quite,
Not quite.
not quite out of nowhere. And so with that, then, um, so then the this was 10 years ago. You were thinking up this, um, the Uber of lawn ma or yard. What's the proper term? Yard care,
Yeah,
yard.
yard
Okay,
maintenance, grass cutting,
good.
lawn care, lawn maintenance, whatever you want to call it. Somebody's got to go mow the yard. That's
Right.
what we help with.
And so then, yeah, because I mean, yeah, there wasn't anything like this. And so how how long did it take for you to say, this is what I want, this is what I envision, to like there at least being some sort of semi working app to, or website or whatever it was to get going? Because I don't know, and like where'd you find that person to be able to do that, to um create that uh way to connect the people?
Yeah, really good questions. So recruited two co-founders. None of us knew how to write software. So we thought, well, we'll just pay a development shop to build what we think it should be, and we'll just put that out there, and then we'll hustle up the customers, and we'll be all good. And so we did that, and that took a year and like all of our money. We pulled together around 150 grand between the three of us, and I didn't want to take any of my proceeds from the first company and plow them into the second one because I didn't want to go backwards. I didn't want to ever mow another yard again. And so I put in some money, and the two of them put in some money. We got about 150 grand together, and we wasted all of that on paying a development shop to build what we thought Green Pal should be. And launched that into the marketplace, and it was like, if you build it, they will not come. It was total
Oh,
crickets. Nobody gave a crap about it. And I was just astounded as to how much harder it was than I thought it was going to be. I really felt like if we built this thing that was a system where homeowners could sign up, get prices, and then they could hire a contractor, and the contractor shows up, does it, uploads a picture, and then the homeowner pushes and pays them. I just thought simple system. And I saw this problem manifest itself over and over and over again running my first company, that how difficult it was for homeowners to just get a decent lawn mowing service. So I thought, if we could just put this in there, it'll just take off. And I was just totally surprised as to the lack of interest and apathy from both contractors and consumers. And I thought, damn, this is hard, but we're gonna try to get 100 customers. Let's see if we can get 100 customers in a year. And we started passing out flyers all over Nashville, Tennessee, where we're from, and we hustled up 100 people to use it. And then we talked to every one of these people, every single one of them. Sometimes at their kitchen counter, sometimes at Starbucks, sometimes on the phone, but we talked to every single one of these people. And they would all tell us everywhere the app sucked. And they would say, well, I hired a guy and he didn't show up, or I hired a guy and his lawnmower was too big for my fence gate, or I hired a guy and he did a crappy job, or I hired a guy and he didn't honor the price. All of these things that went wrong with the app, or I used it and it technically just did not work. There was a bug or something.
yeah.
But they would never say, I don't need this. They were always like let down by the fact that they were disappointed.
Which is a
And
great
so,
thing. It means
yeah,
they care.
yeah,
But
use that as validation. Like, well,
yeah,
imagine if it did work. If it actually
yeah.
did work, we could turn this 100 into 1,000, and 1,000 into 10,000, and 10,000, and so on. And so that's what we did. And I thought, well, we'll just work our ass off for a couple of years, and we'll be at hundreds of thousands of users. And I was right, except for 2 years was really like 10 years. It took us 2 years just to figure out what the hell it was we were doing. It took another 2 years to figure out some kind of marketing strategy. It took another 2 years to build a team that could quickly execute. Now here we are, year 10. We have 300,000 people using this app. We need to be at 1 million. I want to be at 1 million people using it. And so that may take another 5 years, but so it took a lot longer than I ever dreamed it would. But fortunately, I don't have bright shiny object syndrome. I've had one good idea in a decade, and this is it. So it's like, keep working on our best idea. That's all we're gonna do.
And so what was it like? Was it marketing, like word of mouth, that was kind of pushing it forward, or did you have to hire? I mean, it sounds like you're from and if you've had yard service, lawn mowing service for since you were a teenager, I assume you probably had to do a number or a bunch of the hustling and sales yourself, or maybe with someone else, and then you eventually had to get a sales team. What were you doing to kind of get more customers to come in? How is that happening?
Yeah, there's a saying that first time founders worry about product, second time founders worry about distribution. And so the point of the saying is like, the first time, even though I had built and sold a company, I was very much a first time founder. And so the first time out of the gate, you worry about, oh, what does the product look like? How does it work? How does it design? What's the color scheme? All of these things that really don't matter. And you don't even think about the marketing, like how you're going to get customers to it. And then the guy or gal that's been around the block, maybe has a success, or maybe they crashed and burned, knows that all of that is table stakes. What really matters is how you're going to get whatever it is you've built connected to people who need it and want it. How are you going to drive the awareness around it? How are you going to get customers? Distribution, marketing, customer acquisition, whatever you want to call it. How are you going to connect whatever the hell it is you built to to people who need it. And I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and so this is kind of like we get 100 people a week moving here wanting to be the next big country music star. And
Sure. Yeah.
and so what all of them learn one way or the other, inevitably that 1 in 1 million make it. They learn that. But what they learn is that they think the hard thing is learning how to play the guitar, learning how to sing, learning how to play the guitar and sing at the same time, learning how to play the guitar and sing and write their own music, learning how to do all of that, and then with business sense and all these things, and so they think that's the hard part. But then they come to understand, no, actually, all of that is table stakes. The hard part is getting 10 people to show up to your show. That's the hard part. And getting 10 people to show up to your show, or 100, is actually 10 times or 100 times harder than playing the guitar, writing your own songs, playing guitar and singing at the same time. All of these things are table stakes. Well, building a technology product is exactly like that. Learning how to code, learning how to design software, learning how to run, Photoshop and SEO and all of these things you need. Like, you think that's the hard stuff? No, that's all table stakes. The hard thing is getting people to download the app, use the app, tell their friends about it. And so that took us like 5 years to figure out. We tried every single thing we could. Eventually, we came to understand that just competing in Google organic search was something we needed to bet the company on. And it really was a bet the company decision. If you want to look at the GDP of whatever it is GreenPal does, we have 40 something people working on the company, and 75% of what we do is SEO. The other 25% is just building the freaking product in the first place. Like 3/4 of what we do is generating traffic, is building content, promoting content, getting backlinks, getting press mentions, getting our name out there. Is literally 75% of what the team does. The other 25% is actually building the damn thing in the first place. And I didn't know that when we started this. And most people don't know that until it's too late, until you get in there and realize, damn, this sucks. Distributing this is harder than building it.
Yeah. And then, so I mean, what started happening once you started getting those numbers going up? Was it a double down on what you're doing, or was it kind of scramble to try to find the next place to put your name out there? Or I mean, what I heard now, that a lot of people are using TikTok more than not more, but like it's getting up there in ways of like a search engine. Is people will look up TikTok now to answer any question of, where's the place to eat, and they'll go on TikTok and do that, which is kind of an interesting thing. And I don't know why, about what I guess a lot of people are on that. But I mean, yeah, everyone knows, Google, and that's how you find stuff. And so people, would you have people, okay, let me ask you this one. Do you ever have people that are salespeople calling you up, asking you to try to make your business better, or like soliciting that, trying to do that? Is that?
Well, totally. So to answer your first question, every business has product market fit. What that means is like, I have a product and these are people that use it. So with GreenPal, this is the easiest way in the world to get a lawn mowing service. The customer is somebody who lives in a home, has vegetation outside, needs somebody to mow it, basically. And that's product market fit. Well, on top of that, you have product channel fit, which means, okay, this is the product. This is how people find the product. And so you have to experiment in every one of these channels. So Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, radio, print, billboards, Google AdWords, Google Organic, and the list goes on and on and on, different channels. TikTok now. And these are ways to to communicate what it is you do with people who need your services. So you have to test all of these, and you have to figure out, okay, well, where do I need to place my bets, and where can I compete? And it's almost like a bet the company decision, because you're not going to be good at TikTok and YouTube at the same time. You're not going to be good at Google organic traffic and Facebook paid ads at the same time. If you're a startup, if you're like a 5-person startup or less, you simply can't be good at all of these channels, and you have to test all of the ones that make sense and go all in on one of them. And then as time goes on, maybe you get to $1 million in sales or 5 million in sales, and then you can kind of try to offset what it is you're doing in developing another channel and maybe get good at another one, but not until then. And so what a lot of new founders, the mistake they make is they try to be good at TikTok and Twitter and Instagram and YouTube, and you really just need to pick one and make it your life. And so if you are a boutique hotel in somewhere in the United States, you say you're a boutique hotel outside of the Grand Canyon, and you have these like tents that are $1,000 a night. Well, I'm going to venture to say TikTok's probably a channel that you should bet your life on. You should probably create great content showing what that's like. You should probably get people who are influencers in that space to create content when they're there. You should probably give them free nights. You should probably make it look so damn good people can't say no to come spend $1,000 to stay in your tent. And maybe reels also, because those are so similar. But you're not going to compete there and glamping experience outside of the Grand Canyon on Google. In the early days, year 3, 4, 5 million in sales, maybe, but in the early days, you need to go all in on one channel. So you need to go all in on TikTok, if that's the product channel fit. For us, as of right now, I need a lawn mowing service in Lincoln, Nebraska. People aren't going to TikTok for that. They do go to Google. And so that's where we compete. People aren't going to YouTube for that query either. Now, if we sold fertilizer, and people were looking for, okay, what is the best fertilizer to make my grass green? YouTube probably be a really good channel for that. Maybe even TikTok. But so you have to discover what is the best fit channel for your business.
Has that ever been something you thought about incorporating as well, having some sort of like a custom fertilizer on the side, or some sort of upsell or some sort of other product? Or is that something that would just be like a whole new thing that could, be whatever?
We've thought about not necessarily selling our own physical products, but opening up a marketplace inside of GreenPal where you could, as a consumer, come on board and use GreenPal to order a lawn mowing service, and then say, okay, hey, here's an offering from Scott's Lawn Service. Here's an offering from True Green Chem Lawn. Here's an offering from Home Depot where you could get discounts and things like that. We're working on something like that. But it's important to kind of keep the main thing the main thing. We are the easiest way in the United States to get a lawn mowing service, but we're still just a drop in the bucket for how much lawn mowing is actually getting done. This is a $90 billion industry, and we're just barely scratching the surface. So we have a long way to go doing more of what we're already good at.
And so then, so you're or banking on people doing the whatever, the lawn mowing in whatever city. But something I learned when I was a sleazy salesman for I think it might have been a week or two. I would call up realtors, and realtors, at least whenever this was like maybe 15 years ago, always had their cell phones on, and if they didn't pick up, they would call right back.
Yeah.
And so I'd be like, oh, well, hey, because and also they put me on because whatever my accent was sounded most like someone in South Dakota, I guess. They wanted something, I don't know why South Dakota, but that's what I sounded like. I was living in Portland, Oregon, but I sounded like someone in South Dakota. So I would call up and I would be, trying to sell space for either, a realtor in, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, but that would only be realtor for Sioux Falls, South Dakota, but Sioux Falls, South Dakota realtors would be a completely different Google search. And then you have to sell that one as well to someone. And so was that kind of a hard thing to get going, all the different kinds of, you know, things people would be searching, or was that
Oh yeah,
or
definitely. Organic SEO is a beast. It's always changing. That's one of the things that makes it interesting, actually, is that it's never like the strategies that worked last year are going to be different next year, and it's always evolving. So that makes it kind of interesting in a way. But there was a time where lawn mowing service Chicago was different from Chicago lawn mowing service, and grass cutting company Chicago was different from lawn maintenance company Chicago. But as time has gone on, Google has gotten smarter and smarter and kind of understands these things semantically and puts them
oh,
together. And
okay.
and so now as a small business owner, you don't have to worry about competing for the individual nuances, and you kind of need to compete for clusters. You need to compete for topical clusters and build your website to become an authority in that cluster, and then build content that targets that cluster. So for us, lawn mowing service, Sioux Falls, grass cutting service, yard maintenance company, lawn mowing company, yard cutting company, grass cutting service, all these different ways to say what it is we do. We don't have to like build pages for every variation. There was once upon a time you had to, because Google, the algorithms weren't sophisticated enough to separate and combine those things. But nowadays you don't have to. And so in a way it makes it easier, but also in a way it makes it harder, because then you're kind of competing against the big giants like Home Advisor, Angie's List, Thumbtack, that have a lot more resources, and so they dominate these things right out of the gate. So you as a new entrant have to figure out unique ways to niche down and compete for phrases that aren't necessarily already owned by these big guys. So it makes it challenging, but if you're able to stick it out and play the game for 3, 4, 5, 10 years, you can develop a real lasting authority.
Yeah. And so I have one last question. So then for your first business and the second business, what was the best money spent for each one? Which ones had the best payoff?
Yeah, this is going to sound cliche and trite,
That's
but
our, that's it means it's because it's true.
yeah, but really, I mean, in both companies, every dime I ever spent leveling up my own skills um, had a compounding effect for the rest of the business, because every business reaches a choke point of what the founder's abilities are. And so it's like in the first business, like we talked about, I was a shitty leader, I was a shitty manager, and so I went to a boot camp that cost like 10 grand, um, put on by John Maxwell, to learn how to become a better leader. And then I started doing more of that, and then I became a better leader, and like that ended up making the company millions. So $10,000 into several million, you're not going to get a better ROI on anything. And that was because I leveled up my skills. And in the second company, Green Pal, I mean, there were so many things that I personally had to learn, that my co-founders had to learn, as block and tackling to do whatever the hell it was we were trying to do. There was once, like maybe year two, I realized that words on a screen matter, and they're really important. And so I thought, well, I have to like hire a good copywriter. So I tried to hire a good copywriter, and they all sucked. And I thought, I'm just going to become a good copywriter. I don't give a fuck how long it takes. I'm going to take 6 months, a year. I'm going to read every book I can get my hands on. to become a decent copywriter. And so I did that, and I became a pretty good copywriter. Not a great one, but good enough. And so then I was able to
Yeah.
quickly make changes and understand how do we convey our value proposition and how do we better communicate our messaging, because you've got like a screen this big and you have like 9 words to put on that screen. Those are really important words. And so because I became a decent copywriter, I was able to quickly understand what good copy was, what bad copy was. So the $500 course I took on copywriting, which I took several, ended up making us millions. And so if you can invest and shore up your inadequacies and double down on things you're good at and learn more and invest in yourself, I think that's always going to be your best ROI.
I like that a lot. That's good advice there. And so when people are ready to uh, level up and get on your level, where can they find you, or where can they uh, find your business? To if they have a yard,
Yeah.
maybe they have a yard.
Greenpal.com if you need somebody to mow your yard, or if you're in the lawn mowing business and anybody want to hit me up, find me on LinkedIn or Instagram, Bryan M. Clayton. Just drop me a DM on either one of those.
Excellent. Well, hey, Bryan, thank you so much for being on. I'm glad we got to talk about whatever, not knowing where we're going to go and getting to where we got to. So thank you so much for that. And yeah, hope you have a great rest of your day. All right.
Thanks, Rusty. You have a good one.
You too. All right. Bryan Clayton, everyone. So you guys check him out. Check out his website. Check out his business. You guys, everyone's got a yard, right? Not really. Everyone's got a yard, but a lot of people have yards. I don't have a yard. I have someone doing my yard, but you know what? That person, they could go and hire them. They'd have someone to have it all squared away. Um, so yeah, I don't know if I'm going to live in a place again where I have yard maintenance, but having someone else do yard maintenance if you can, pretty great. Pretty great. Unless you really like it, because some people do. Some people really like doing yard maintenance, and then you can do it. But if you don't, then you go and you get a hold of Bryan and his company. So thank you everyone for listening to the Public Access Podcast on the Rusty Diamond Podcast Network. And that is the show, man. Boom!
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.